In this video, I'll give you everything you need to know to play the Havoc Demon Hunter throw glaive any needs necessary build to the best you can. The first thing we're going to do here is really just talk about the talents. Now, as opposed to the last video I did going over the Glaive Tempest Shadow Destiny build, there's really only one loadout or build for this build, I guess I should say. There's only really one way to build your talents. There's a little bit of variation you could do in like at 1 or 2 points, but for the most part, it's going to stay the same. I'll start with the class tree really quickly. There's not a lot you need to go over here. You can change and mix around what you want. I have it set up for more of an M+ style right now. The only important things that you grab are going to be Bouncing Glaives, Rush of Chaos, Soul Rending, Demonic, Illidari Knowledge, all this tree here leading down to Collective Anguish, the Hunt, Unnatural Malice, and then Rule of the Illidari. Other than that, you really can pick and choose. In M+, you do want to grab Sigil of Misery and Chaos Nova for some of the stops, but you can drop those out and grab stuff like Fellfire Haste, or things like Infernal Armor, like this, and then you have an extra point to put wherever you like, probably down into like this, if you want to do something more for raid, something a little bit like this. But otherwise, you do want to come down and grab things like Will of the Illidari. Your stun's very important in Mythic Plus, and then all these nice little powerful nodes here. That'll give you the most damage and the most CC, yada yada yada. Now on to the real bread and butter here. So the main build here focuses around 2 of the different packages, kind of the Essence Break package, so to speak, involving momentum on the left side here, stuff like Initiative, stuff like Unbound Chaos, Tactical Retreat, yada yada yada. And then the right side here, focusing on like throwing glaives and then your Rage Fire, Immolation Aura damage. And these things all kind of combine together to make a really, really powerful AoE spec, right? So when you're fighting multiple targets, you do a ton of damage through things like your glaives bouncing with Soul Rend, through things like Rage Fire exploding, through your Immolation Aura with Growing Inferno and Burning Wound and Fellfire Heart, as well as things like your Essence Break combo every 40 seconds. So all these different things kind of really meld together to create this really, really powerful AoE spec, and really allows us to do the damage that like you see other Demon Hunters do, and do this crazy, crazy damage, this really high damage. There's a lot of things that go into it. So firstly, Initiative is really powerful, especially in AoE. 12% crit is a lot, especially when coupled with Know Your Enemy. 12% crit all the time on pull, as well as every 20 seconds while you're in combat, because of Vengeful Retreat is a really high uptime on this crit buff. Unbound Chaos is just a lot of damage in AoE. This is just really good Fury, plus it gives us down momentum, which is up fairly often when you're using things like the Hunt, which is a very, very strong button, as well as Tactical Retreat, which you should be using, and then things like Unbound Chaos, which again, you should be using. And then this leads us down into Know Your Enemy, probably our strongest talent. Grading critical strike damage is really, really powerful, especially since we stack crit so much. And then finally, Essence Break, really just our strong low CD cooldown, allowing us to use this every 40 seconds in combination with I-Beam, which is also 40 seconds. On the right side here, we're grabbing things like Fellfire Heart and Burning Hatred for our Fury generation. You're going to be a little bit Fury starved in this build. Your Fury generators are your auto attacks. You should never take Insatiable Hunger, by the way. We have too many globals to use Demon's Bite. Always use Demon Blades. Our generators are that, Immolation Aura, Sigil of Flame, Fell Blade, and then finally Tactical Retreat. So you will be a little bit more Fury starved in this build than you will be in the other build, since your I-Beam doesn't generate Fury, but overall it's not that bad. We grab these things up here because they're very powerful. We grab First Blood because it's powerful as well. Same with Dancing with Fate and Trail of Ruin. We pick up Furious Throws because this makes Throw Glaive really, really strong as a spender, and essentially replaces it instead of Annihilation in almost every scenario, except for within Essence Break when fighting a low target count. So this Furious Throws really, really makes your Throw Glaive really powerful. It doubles the damage of Accelerating Blade, doubles the damage of Soul Rend, and really is just something you want to pick up. We come down here into the Growing Inferno talents down here to really just amp our Rage Fire. Immolation Aura is a button that hits a lot of targets really hard, so we really want to focus into this when we're doing the AoE damage, because this is really what's going to get us at the end of the day a lot of damage in our pulls. Immolation Aura and Rage Fire, if you're doing content appropriate to your gear level where mobs don't instantly die, will end up being a large portion of your damage in a key. Finally, we're down into the Glaive abilities. Soul Rend, Accelerating Blade cause a lot of damage overall in your key. Soul Rend bleeding for however much damage your glaives do as Chaos is really, really strong, and also buffed by Mastery, as well as Versatility as it double dips. The thing with Soul Rend is you don't want to, if you reapply a stack to something that already has Soul Rend, that'll add together, so you shouldn't worry about, min-maxing the dot uptime or anything like crazy like that. Finally, we grab any means necessary because it is a really, really strong talent. It turns stuff like Immolation Aura, it turns things like Fell Breath, or Feldev, turns things like the Hunt, turns things like Sigil Flame, turns things like your auto attacks into chaos damage and causes them to gain damage from your mastery, which is something we really want to stack as well in AoE. The biggest thing here is going to be Immolation Aura, which feeds into Ragefire, giving you these big, meaty Ragefire explosions. Finally, we pick up Fart of the Flame for a little bit of passive damage and healing. You can play Elysian Decree if you want. It's not as strong. It does less damage overall, as well as just being, not as survivable. But, Fart of the Flame is very good. That's kind of the build. We could grab these things in the middle here, Chaotic Transformation and Looks Can Kill, just for a little bit of extra oomph on the edges there. If you need things like Fell Eruption or Netherwalk or Mortal Dance on a Sanguine week, you can drop out Looks Can Kill and pick up one of these two things here. However, it is a damage loss if you do that, so just keep that in mind. But if you really need, Netherwalk or Fell Eruption, then you can do that and swap it out there. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure you hit that sub button. A lot of my viewers aren't subscribed, so hitting that sub button really helps me out as we push up towards 4,000 subscribers and beyond. Also, my Twitch and Discord links are in the description below, so if you want more content from me, follow those and stay up to date on all of the things from this channel. With that, enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks, guys. Alright, so with talents out of the way, we're now going to start and talk about the rotation. Now, the important thing here, I'll show you guys the opener and then go into a little bit of the finer priorities outside of that. So we'll open on the AoE dummies here, because realistically, if there's a single target, this build isn't as good, but I'll show you the single target opener as well. It's pretty much the same as this. So you want to start at about 2 seconds before the pull with Sigil Flame. And again, I won't show any trinkets here because trinkets are a bit build agnostic. So we'll start with Sigil Flame. Then as you enter combat, Immolation Aura, Fell Rush in, use the Hunt. Then at this point, you want to throw out both of your Glaive charges. And then if you're low on Fury, you can use Fellblade. You want to Fell Rush, then I-Beam through the targets, turn 180, Vengeful Retreat, Essence Break Midair, Death Sweep, Meta, Death Sweep, and then I-Beam again. And from here, you want to rush and throw out both your Glaive charges again. And that really brings you out of the opener and into the rest of your rotation. From here, what you want to do is make sure you use Momentum before your Glaive charges, always keeping those on cooldown. You want to Vengeful Retreat on cooldown as well, and use your Death Sweep as well with Momentum if you can. And keep throwing out your charges. Try and stay in melee for whenever your Immolation Aura is about to throw out. And then just make sure you're keeping up your momentum while you're using your big buttons like Death Sweep and Throw Glaive, and you're going to end up doing a lot of damage. So to repeat, outside of your Essence Break window, you want to make sure that you have your momentum up for when you throw Glaives. Don't cap on your Glaive charges. That is probably the worst thing you can do. Use your Immolation Aura on cooldown, use Blade Dance on cooldown, fill with Chaos Strike, and generate Fury as needed. Whenever your I-Beam comes back up, you're going to want to do a smaller version of the burst. You're going to want to use I-Beam, then Vengeful Retreat, Essence Break, then Death Sweep, and then Annihilation and Annihilation. On the topic of the procs here from Fart of the Flame, only Glaive down your demon if you're about to enter a burst window with Essence Break, otherwise you'll let him die to passive cleave. So we'll do another burst window here. I have 2 Glaive charges, so I'll rush. I should have used Immolation Aura first, so we'll do it again. Rush, the Hunt, both Glaive charges. Then I'll use I-Beam, Vengeful Retreat through the pack, Essence Break, then Death Sweep, and then Annihilation, and then Glaive again. Make sure you're always throwing your Glaive while you have momentum up. You really want to take advantage of that damage buff. But realistically, this rotation isn't too complex. Just make sure you have your momentum up for your Blade Dance and your Throw Glaives. Make sure you're using your Fell Rush charges. Make sure you're using your Throw Glaives. Make sure you're using your Vengeful Retreat. And you will end up doing a ton of AoE damage. Just right now, talking through it and not even doing too much, I'm doing a pretty sizable amount. So finally, we'll end off with a little section on single target. So my meta just came up. So the opener is going to be exactly the same. You want to start 2 seconds before pull with your Sigil Flame, then Immolation Aura as you enter combat, Fell Rush in, the Hunt, and then you want to throw out your Glaive charges. It's very important to still use your Glaives in single target. They are stronger than Chaos Strike and Annihilation as long as you're outside of Essence Break. But to repeat that, you do want to use your Throw Glaive charges in single target. Anyway, so after I use both my charges, I want to make sure my momentum's still up. Then I-Beam, turn 180, Vengeful Retreat through the pack, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Meta, and then Death Sweep again. And then from there, you want to just use I-Beam. I'm a little slow because I'm talking, but you want to make sure you have momentum up for your I-Beam, then throw out your Glaives, Death Sweep, and all that. So it's the same priority really as AoE. You want to make sure you're using your Glaives, you're using all your buttons on cooldown, basically as they light up. You want to make sure you're still using your Vengeful Retreat there to generate Fury and reset the crit chance. You want to make sure you're using Death Sweep, and then just kind of fill with Chaos Strikes or Regenerate Fury. It's not too complex. You know, there's not too much going on with it. Obviously, my damage isn't that high because I'm talking out with it, you know, through with you. But realistically, you know, same things as before. Make sure you're having your windows whenever you can. You're using momentum on Glaives and on Death Sweep, and then you're making sure you're using a Vengeful Retreat between every Essence Break combo. On the topic of demons again, it's the exact same. Only glaive it down if you have about to enter a combo window with Essence Break and I-Beam. Otherwise, don't glaive it down, just cleave it. Remember, Throw Glaive is very important on single target still. It is stronger than a Chaos Strike and Annihilation, so make sure you're not capping your Throw Glaive charges. That's really, really important for this build. Otherwise, you will end up doing really low damage because you're just not using your glaives. And again, remember to always have glaives during like momentum buffs or even crit buffs if you can. They end up doing a lot more damage. So, oh, I crit that one there. So my glaives, my Soul Rend Dot's going to tick for a lot more now. That's it for my Any Means Necessary Throw Glaive build primer. There's a few more builds I want to cover. However, I've already covered the kind of meta builds, but there's a few more fun off-meta builds I do want to talk about because I think they're kind of funny. And I do think some players will get a kick out of them. But that's it for this build today. Now, again, this is more of an AoE-focused build in dungeons or in fights such as Diurna or even, you know, Council there. And there's some play on this in Mythic Kurog and Mythic Dathia, etc. However, you know, really don't play this on a single target boss. It's not going to be that good. But this will give you a lot of damage in AoE and an M+, and it really is the go-to there. If you have any questions and stuff I didn't cover, you know, comment down below. I'd be glad to help as well. If you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment as well, and hit the subscribe button. Really help me out. Sorry for no streams recently. Again, I'm on vacation. I'll be back next week with more streams. But you know, if my Discord and my Twitch are in the description below, so if you want to follow that, feel free to. And I think my content there is pretty great as well. So with that, that is the end of my little spiel at the end of these videos here. I hope you found this useful. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.